Is there any scenario where, because I think right now it's Purdy and McCaffrey. I think those are the two guys. Unless Baltimore comes in here and wins, and I think you got to throw. I mean, Lamar Jackson is right in that mix. How he's played this year. Is there a scenario the way it's set up where a running back can win?
Yeah, and this might be it. Where in the past, the last 5-10 years, you're thinking about who are those MVPs. It's these larger than life Patrick Mahomes and Josh. I don't know if Josh Allen's even more in it, but Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
These guys are just dominate, and they just take their teams and drag them up behind there, and just there's something about that. And then Brock has created this, I don't know, strange kind of space where people are like, well, wait, what? And so there's going to be some voters that I think if there's going to be a running back, it could be this year. And that's not a knock on Brock. That's just knowing you've heard it all year long. People just can't wrap their heads around it. And I think this Monday is the referendum for the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And the players, if Brock has a big game, he'll win it. If Christian has an even bigger game, he might win it. But if Lamar has a big game and wins, they'll give it to him. I think that's kind of Monday night seems like that's that kind of an event. And it's a bigger game for the Ravens because, look, it's not important for the 49ers, but they have been trying to transition from being the rank and file, great running team. We talk about this all the time, who can't win in the playoffs. And they've tried to transition into a sophisticated passing team that can come into San Francisco and they can throw it all over the yard and beat us. And to me, if that's what we've talked about a number of times this year, Tom, if they're going to actually become that team, now's the time. And if they can't do it, then, they're going to be one of those teams that great regular season record that really can't make things happen in the playoffs. And the perfect time for the Ravens to have a shot at showing the world that they have transitioned a little bit.
Before we move on, because I did want to ask you this before we move on to kind of the team, but so you won your first MVP in 92, correct?
Right, yep.
And that was before, obviously, you won the Super Bowl. How did you even view the MVP? Because, it's an individual award for the regular season, and that's great. But we've always talked about the nut tree. You're like, no one cares about your stupid MVP around here. Are you going to win a Super Bowl? Like, can you win a Super Bowl? Then you get another one, and you win the Super Bowl. But how did you deal with the first one? Did you look at it the same before you won the Super Bowl as you did after you won the Super Bowl? Because I'm wondering if you looked at it and just thought, that was great, I won that. That doesn't mean crap because no one around here cares about it.
You nailed it. I mean, we've talked about this, and that's where the nut tree comes from. It's like, I had a great season in 92, and we didn't finish it. And remember, the biggest, most difficult loss I ever had was the 92 championship game against the Cowboys, and to not win it. And if you have to be over 45 years old probably to remember and to feel that. But if you did, you remember that we went to 2 Super Bowls. The third one lost the championship game by 3 points in a crazy game against the Giants. Took the year, and now we were in championship games again. And so MVPs were kind of like, oh yeah, of course, that's table stakes, bro. That's yeah. Like if you're not the MVP, you need to go home. Like, but that's just getting started. You've got to bring it home with a Super Bowl, and that's a fact. That's where we were at that time. I don't think anybody's been in that spot like that ever since.
No.
But that was certainly the way it felt in '92. It was like, yeah, you're the MVP, but we kind of expect that. You got to go win a Super Bowl. So that's fine. And I always told you that's fine.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
Go win it. Make it happen, and then go win another one. I was still pissed about that. So, that's how you got to live it. You got to live it out.
Talking to Steve Young here on the UMA guest line. We keep talking about Lamar establishing his candidacy on Monday or Purdy taking over absolutely and running away with it. What does McCaffrey do to help his candidacy on Monday?
Well, again, but he has, like a game last week, if Brock hadn't have thrown 4 touchdowns.
Right.
Yeah.
There was this amazing game that he had. But the thing that's happening is these guys are so explosive in every direction that it's hard to really pick the headline. And remember the stat I gave you last week. I mean, the stats around being the 32nd rated not rated, but team that's numbers of throws and the second in yards.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is so insane right now with the efficiency and what's happening with this offense that it's hard to, what does Christian McCaffrey do? Run for another 150 yards, catch 3 touchdowns, and then Brock Purdy will have 4 touchdowns. Other than that, it's like you can't. And that's why running backs have a tough time doing it because the running backs aren't prolific like they used to be. A receiver could do it now, but no one receiver has really done that since Jerry Rice or Calvin. There's been a few through the years, Randy, but that's unusual too. And this team, no one guy's going to get enough of that. It's just spread all over the place. You got 5 guys that are just dominant.
I'm looking it up right now. Do you have any idea? Because I've always said yards per attempt was like kind of the stat for me. That's the one I always look at when it comes to quarterbacks. It's not the only stat, of course, but it always resonates with me. And the fact that he's like 9'9", 9'8", like around 10 is just insane. Because if you're over 8.5, that's a hell of a year. You start getting up around 9, then that is rarefied air, not just for that year, but for all the years. Like around 9's insane. The fact that he's 9'9" is incredible. Do you remember what your highest yards per attempt was in a season?
I don't, but I know that is insane. And remember the stat last week, the throws behind the line of scrimmage are leading the league in yards per attempt.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know what mine was.
What would you get? What would you guess?
It wasn't 9'9".
No, it wasn't 9'9". Your highest was 9.
Ooh,
you led the league 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. 8.5, 8.6, 8.7, 8.6, 9.0. Career was 8.0, which is incredible. Anything 8.5 and above is just incredible.
Yeah, historically, that is absolutely true. This is a historic year for this offense. This is something that you don't. It's the culmination of it's just super efficiency. And the thing is, how many scrambling throws for a year? I love that stat. Like, so much of our offense is out of the huddle. Call a play, you get a result, and it's an explosive result. And I've always said, championship football, you win out of the huddle. The play that's called out of the huddle needs to be the thing. And then if you make some big plays outside of it, that's why Patrick Mahomes has become so dangerous. And that's the problem with Josh Allen is because the play in the huddle, yeah, it's a good idea. But, let me stiff arm a defensive lineman, and I'll run around and we'll make something happen. You can't win Super Bowls that way. And so when the play that's called out of the huddle is the play that you run and get something out of an explosive, it's super hard to beat. And that's what this team has done. And you just can't fathom it. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing thing that they've done this year.